this video, I'll be showing you how to use different mods with Mystical Agriculture to create a pretty optimized resource generation setup. This is my preferred way of doing resource generation in this mod pack. Bees are technically faster, however, I find they're a lot more work to set up, and once you get to the end game of bees, they're a lot faster, but I find they're a lot more work to set up, and I find it personally to be rather tedious. So let's start with, now this would theoretically be your first Mystical Agriculture setup. A simple hopper botany pot, hopper into a chest. Inside you'd have Inferium seeds and Inferium farmland. Now, if you look here, it says that seeds will grow at 1.1x speed. Basically what that means is the tiers of farmland control how fast it grows and also Inferium output. In the case of Insanium farmland, the seeds will grow at 1.35x speed, but will also give you a higher Inferium output. I believe 350%. However, this is probably something you're not going to be able to achieve in the early game, so for the time being, stick to your Inferium. Now, there's also the option of Inferium farmland, just straight up, versus hopper botany pots. I'll play right now a time lapse of how fast they are in comparison to each other, and I'll show you pretty accurately which one's faster for early game. Now, this is a more mid-game example. So what we have here is we have a whole bunch of seeds going. As you can see, they're growing reasonably quickly. So if we look in here, so what we have in here is a Awakened Supremium hoe. Any unbreakable hoe will work, or even you can have breakable hoes as long as you have a buffer chest full of hoes that can feed into it or whatnot. You make sure it's set to 9x9, and then put a chest on top, and it'll fill up with items. I'm not sure why these diamonds aren't going into my system. Oh, they are. It's just very, very slow. And I've got so much diamonds that it makes it harder. So, how is it so fast? Well, first off, we have red fertilized farmland. That's created using red fertilizer on a piece of farmland. I believe this is much faster than Insanium farmland. I only recommend Insanium farmland, really, for Inferium production. Underneath, we have a whole bunch of lily pads of fertility. These things, they speed up the growth of crops, and since we have one under each of these, they all stack together and create this pretty ridiculous speed. And then that's all being funneled into this ME interface back into my ME system over there. So this is sort of a more mid-game example. You can also use growth accelerators. Allegedly these work, however I haven't seen a market impact since putting these on, so I can't say for sure, but if that's something you want to do, then that is also an option. These are from AE2, they require one channel to use. But this is sort of the only downside to this farm is its size. In speed, it's pretty much enough for most players, most of the game. I had a setup like this in my second All the Mods 9 playthrough that produced pretty much all my resources as fast as I need them. But if you really want insane amount of resources, we're going to go on to our next option. So our next option, we have two options. One of them involving phytogenic insulators and one of them involving modular rooters. Now, I'm going to start with this one first, because this one is theoretically faster. The reason I say that is because in this setup, we have two puller modules coming from this barrel right here, this one in here, and then we have two activator modules. Now, you don't actually need two of each, but basically, there's two different options you can go for. You can go for Mystical Fertilizer or Fertilized Essence. The Fertilized Essence increases the crop speed by 1 tick, so 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and the Mystical Fertilizer just instantly grows it. Now, and I also have these vacuum or these absorption hoppers as well to pick up all the extra items. The reason that this system can be the most efficient is because if you have the Mystical Fertilizer to keep up with it, I'll give you an example actually. I'm going to put all of this in here. Now if we look back over here, look how bleeding fast that's going. It's absolutely insane. This is theoretically the fastest I could find. Red fertilizer, Mystical Fertilizer, everything all at once, and then a sort of setup to get it all put back into here and then into that. The problem with this though is getting Mystical Fertilizer. Now the problem with getting Mystical Fertilizer, if we look here, oh I'm typing it in there, whoops. The problem with getting Mystical Fertilizer, if we pull it up, is the only way to get it is with Fertilized Essence. This is easy to farm, this is easy to farm, this is not. because you only get this as a byproduct of other crops, and there's only a 10% drop chance. So as you can see, it's like they're all full right now, but it's slowly bleeding its way out, because yes, theoretically, it's producing fertilized essence when the crops are harvested, but only 1 in 10 fertilizers that are used, or 1 in 10 fertilizers that are used, are actually producing another one. And then I believe you need 4 of them, yes, to make a mystical fertilizer. So you have to wait for 4 separate crops to do it at, get that 10% chance just to get 1 more. And then even same with the fertilized essence. So you can also use the fertilized essence for the system, and it's still almost as quick. However, you have to deal with that 10% drop chance, which that is the only way to get fertilized essence, is that 10% drop chance. To my knowledge, there is no way to increase it. Now, you want something a little bit more consistent at the price of being a little bit slower. So that setup was using modular routers and a little bit of mechanism logistical cables to get everything back in. This system uses XNet. I love XNet now. I haven't used it much, but I'm going to use it more just because of this setup. This took me a while to set up, but once I figured it out, it is very, in my opinion, pretty decently strong. Theoretically, at least. Problem is, you need time in a bottle. And I believe the time in a bottle expires, because these had time in the bottle on them before, and then it expires. So that's the one big downside, is you'd have to keep these topped up with time in the bottle. But if you have it topped up with time in the bottle, it is fast. The reason the energy's having issues is because my actual cables can't keep up with it. And also my modular router can't keep up with it. And also XNet can't keep up with it. So if you have this set out to 256, yes, it's going to be ridiculously quick. However, your XNet has to keep up with it. And then also your modular router. Now, why don't I use logistical cables? The problem with that is there's not enough faces. So I have the bottom side for energy, the back side for water. So I'd have to have all my input and outputs on the front and top. The problem with that is when a crop finishes, it places the seed in here. So you'd have to have the seed come out of here, and the diamond essence go into here, and then have the seed go back inside, and then the essence go elsewhere. Yes, you could do that with logistical cables and a little bit of wiring around. I just personally didn't feel like doing it, just because it's a lot bigger. It's a lot more bulky. Interestingly, though, the greatest thing about these photogenic insulators is you can have the it's set up so that it goes input and output on the top. So all of these items are going on one XNet channel. To explain sort of how I have the XNet channel set up, so basically we have channel 1, which is all 3 are set to round robin, all 3 are set to items. So this one extracts seeds and essence from all of these chests and inserts them into, or inserts the seeds back into the phytogenic insulators, as you can see. And then this one, we'll get back to that in a second, but it also extracts the seeds from the chest. So it extracts the seeds from the chest and places them in here. The essence is automatically pulled out by this modular router here. So all the essence is automatically pulled. It's also pulling out. Why is it doing that? It's not supposed to. Oh no, that's why. Okay, no, ignore me. So basically, I have fertilized essence going. So how do I make fertilized essence? So fertilized essence is one of the few fertilizers you can use. There's another one. Sorry, not fertilized essence, tree fertilizer. I believe, so if we have a look here, these are different types of fertilizer you can use, or the different types of like modifiers. The best one is PhytoGrow. However, there's no way that I know of to reasonably mass produce all of this. Maybe United does, I'm not sure. But the big issue I have is apatite, which can only be gotten from mining. I don't think there's any resource generation options for it, to my knowledge. Not by the looks of things. So, yes, theoretically that one is faster. However, that's way, way more endgame, and that's also more GregTech stuff, and I don't like GregTech. I have not touched GregTech, and I don't intend to. So how am I getting the bone meal for this? Because as you can see, there's bone meal as well. That is done in here. So I've just got a basic loot fabricator setup with a skeleton data model, and then a loot fabricator here. And then for the poppies, I believe, that were a part of this as well. Yes, so these flowers can be anything, but I chose poppies. I just have an iron golem one here that's producing poppies. But the problem is, how do I keep this stocked up with the tree fertilizer? That is where I discovered probably the greatest part of this mod. I've applied it in 6.2 that I didn't know before I made my previous video, but I wish I had for the last 2 playthroughs I did. And that's this, the Emmy Requester, which is really simple. You have a item, for example, I've got this one turned off. This one, for example, tree fertilizer, 9 of them, and I have that submitted. So basically what this is going to do is every time, like it's going to try and keep this tree fertilizer stocked up constantly. I'm running into a bit of a poppy bottleneck right now, so that's why it's not working like properly. But basically, as soon as all the resources are in the system for tree fertilizer, it's going to make sure it's stocked up to 9. And why I chose 9 is because I have 1 for each of these. And so and then I'm going to have the modular router pull out the tree fertilizer from here, because this is set to export into there, and then it will send it into here, which will automatically go into all of these chests through this channel. So it extracts the tree fertilizer and inserts into all of these. And that's what makes this such a, this was such a fun setup to create, because it was like integrating not only hostile neural networks, not only applied logistics, not only mystical agriculture, not only thermal series, but also modular routers. And that's why I really like this setup, because I think it looks really good. I think it's really attractive. I think there's more room for speed. That's the big bottleneck right now, is having to keep the time in the bottle. I don't know how to keep the time in a bottle permanent. I'm not sure if there is a way. However, even still, it's decently quick and it's scalable as well. You can do this. The difference between this and this is, yes, this is faster technically, but it's also more like large, I guess. Whereas this one's more compact, so you can like tile it out. All of this can be tiled. Also, just for the sake of letting you guys know as well, there's eternal water blocks here, filling the water up for the machine. I know I could have just used 1 eternal water block because it technically has infinite water in it. However, this looks nicer, so that's why I set it up like that. And then I've also got this quantum link bridge. The only reason I did that is because I didn't feel like running a cable all the way underneath the map to get over here. It was too much effort. So yeah, that so far is my idea of like a pretty optimized mystical agriculture setup. If you have any like other suggestions on ways I can improve it, leave them in the comments, and I'll update the pinned comment with any further improvements that I could make to the system. If you have any other video ideas that you want me to do, anything you want to understand a little bit better, let me know. And if you want an explanation to modular routers and XNet, I'll be more than happy to do that as well. Just ask in the comments and I'll do an explanation video on those two. I will have to do a little bit more research before I can set that up though, because my knowledge of these two is pretty bare minimum, so I'd have to do a little more research. But that's about it. I hope you enjoyed seeing the whole setup and progress. The next video I do will be on Enigmatica 2 Expert, follow up to my previous video. And then in the background, I'm also working on a video in the style of my Dark Souls 3 and Mortal Shell videos on Lies of P. Thank you very much for watching.